Welcome to the Art Talks Dialogues Beyond the Cusp. My name is Antonio Roma Torres, and I'm here today with my guest, Dhiraj Arora. Welcome, Dhiraj. Thank you very much for taking your time to do this kind of interview. I know that you are a very busy man with a lot of courses and clinical practice, so I thank you so much to reserve a little bit of your time to do this interview.
My pleasure, Antonio. It was lovely meeting up with you and actually sharing our endo thoughts with one another, and I look forward to our conversation ahead.
Yeah, first I would like to thank Coltin for sponsoring this podcast, and it's really good to see dental companies trying to invest in this kind of new communication, because this podcast area, I think it is a new thing, but I'm sure that in the future there will be several podcasts about dentistry. We know that it's a kind of product that is exploding. Everybody's making podcasts, everybody's hearing podcasts. So but in the dentistry field, maybe sometimes we are very conservative, and big shout outs to Coltin for sponsoring this podcast, and to understand this new way of communication. Okay, so I would like you to present yourself a little bit. I was digging about you and Googling, and I saw your website, and it's really nice because in terms of communication, I think it's very clever, because you can show a little bit of your personal life. Also, it's communicating to for the patients and for the colleagues, because as I told before, you have like two activities. You have a dentistry, more conventional clinical activity, and a learning and education, more driven activity. Can you tell us a little bit how, at first, how did you become a dentist? If it was like a dream that you had, like since a kid, or how did you become a dentist? And if you always wanted to be related to education, or how it developed to go to the present moment.
Oh, great question. Well, weirdly enough, I never actually wanted to be a dentist. It wasn't when I was a child I wanted to be a dentist. That's the only thing I wanted to do. There's no family members in the family that are in the medical profession or anything of the sort. It was just, I was good at science. I was really good at science, and science is what I enjoyed. In the UK, we get the opportunity to do a few work experiences, and I did, obviously, a placement in a hospital and a placement in a dental practice. And actually, I just found the dental practice environment a lot more rewarding. And maybe it was just the dentist that I was working with, but his patients seemed to love him, care about him, and actually showed a lot of gratitude for the work that he did, which inspired me. And I guess, why not medicine? And just think, most probably for me, for what I saw at the age of 16, it was quality of life. I just think that when I saw what a doctor was doing or what a dentist was doing, I saw a better quality of life, because I think everything is about work-life balance. The dentists have the better work-life balance. So dentistry it was, and spent 5 years in dental school at King's College London, where I got my bachelor's degree, and then it's been dentistry ever since. Education, I do come from a family of teachers. I think my mom and dad have always inspired me to share knowledge, not keep knowledge, because if you share knowledge, you can help many, many people, whereas if you keep knowledge, you can only help a few. So that's where education came about, and I think I enjoy helping others. I guess I get my satisfaction and my joy out of seeing other people now doing endodontics well, because that means I can help many people in one.
Yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of things that you said. Let me just comment a little bit. I think it's funny to imagine you 16 years old visiting an hospital and a dental practice and finding maybe you found more cozy the dental practice, a lot more comfortable, because sometimes the hospitals are not like very they are big structures, and the dental practice are like tiny homes, more cozy, and you felt that it was more maybe in tune with your personality, and also very funny to but I guess that's life, that we got inspired by one person, and sometimes it doesn't represent the whole activity, but sometimes that special person get something like a seed in your brain, and then your life goes towards this place, and it's lucky. Like I imagine that it was like a draft, or you didn't know this dentist and the dentist didn't know the student, so it was lucky. I would like to ask, why endodontics? It was something that you discovered in the university. I imagine that 16 years old you didn't imagine to be an endodontist. uh, it was a thing that you liked to study. It was a teacher that inspired you. Can you tell us a little bit more, how did you choose the endodontic field?
Yeah, I think firstly, any endodontist that says they knew they wanted to be an endodontist at the age of 16 would be lying. That would definitely be a lie. I think weirdly enough for me, it was no story of inspiration. I think it was just a story of challenge. I think what came about with me was I qualified in 2007, but about 7, 8 years into my clinical practice, I was not being challenged by general dentistry, not on a regular basis, um, because of a lack of challenge. I wanted to always do difficult things. So actually, it was no inspiring person. There was just an inspiring activity. And I guess I'm someone that likes to be challenged. So it came down to actually a decision between endo or implants. I became an endo man or an implant man, and fundamentally because I like the idea of saving teeth. That's it.
So
I think preserving
so
teeth is great.
when you finished graduation, you didn't knew that you would choose endodontic. Did you work like a general practice?
Yeah,
Yeah, for
I worked in general practice for 9 years. During those 9 years, I opened my own dental practice and subsequently we've got a dental clinic now. Me and my business partner Amit, we've got a few dental practices or two. And from there, it was how could I involve my business and how could I involve the challenge in my life? And from a business sense, it didn't make sense to refer endodontic treatment out to other clinicians. If we could have a clinician in-house doing more complicated dentistry, it was good. And for me personally, it was a good challenge. So it was just like, let's get my master's. My master's degree was from QMUL. So I started my master's degree 2016, finished in 2019. And I'm now a clinical lecturer in Green Areas as well, where I teach postgrad masters endodontics.
And what do you think it was your biggest struggle starting in the so you if I understand correctly, you in your practice you started to invest more time in doing endodontics and not referring, so you challenged yourself a little bit to do hard cases that maybe like 2 years before you would refer without a doubt. And in the same time you did education, so you try to learn more, to try to catch more difficult cases. And in the starts, sometimes the challenge is bigger than your clinical skills, because if you are trying to do something that is not normal for your it's not in your average skill, you are challenging yourself. How did you um, survive? How did you manage the difficulty in endodontics of not being able to achieve what you thought? Maybe you start some case and then during the treatment you thought like, oh no, I will refer this case. This is too much for me. I'm not yet ready. How do explain me a little bit, because I know that in this podcast a lot of young people is listening, and sometimes they struggle because they are in the same position, like, okay, I want to do something but I'm not quite ready yet, and I would like you to share a little bit the difficulties and how did you solve the
Oh,
problems.
great question. Firstly, it just starts off with mindset. I think you've just got to have a mindset of growth to want to learn. And if you've got a learning mindset, then I think you will be willing to push the boundaries of what you think you're capable of. So I like staying a little bit out of my comfort zone. And endodontics allows me to do that most of the time because no two teeth are the same, which is half the fun because there's always a new challenge every single day. How did I overcome those initial challenges? Well, one, you said it, knowledge. I don't think you can enhance your skills without having the knowledge. And at that time, it was just a realization that I didn't have the necessary knowledge to do more challenging cases. So go get that knowledge. Knowledge comes through my master's degree and actually just taking an interest. If you have a passion for something you do and you have an interest in it, you'll grow naturally. And also I was blessed. Still have they're now colleagues, but originally I had some of the best clinical lecturers around, Prof. Chong, Giuseppe, George. These are individuals that I always look up to and always inspired to be as good as or try and be better because that's what we all want to do, just be a little bit better the next day. So yeah, I just had them. So I was always taught that fail first. I know it sounds crazy, but if you're always doing everything well and you're not failing, you're not learning. So it's just changing the mindset. Once you make a mistake is an opportunity to learn. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
It's just another opportunity to learn. Yeah, I just had them by my side, and it always wasn't just refer, but sometimes I think referring is a good thing, right? Pushing yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone is great, but completely outside of your comfort zone is a little bit silly. But even when mistakes happen, it was always, so what did I do? What could I do better? And what will I not do next time? So
But I don't know if you agree with me. Sorry for interrupting, but I don't know if you agree with me. But I think with the experience, you can judge better if it's a difficult case or not. So one of the problems when we don't yet have the skills to solve difficult problems is also that we cannot anticipate what kind of problems could have one case. So I think one skill is linked to another. So I imagine that a lot of times you, in the middle of the treatment, you noticed that it was harder than you believed in. It was more outside of your comfort zone that you thought initially.
yeah, so fundamentally comes down to knowledge, skill, experience. Well, I've got the knowledge now with my masters. I'm applying the skills, but I don't have the experience. But you've got to do to gain that experience. In my case, I was lucky. I guess I am fortunate in the sense that I could dress the tooth. I would, if you don't know what you're doing, the best thing is to stop. Don't just carry on going and going and going. Stop, dress the tooth, understand the scenario, and we also have the opportunity to have patients see that or in hospital. So I could take those same cases with a mentor overlooking me and being like, DJ, okay, this and this and this is what leads to the problem. This and this and this is how we're going to correct the problem. And then you're able to layer and build upon your experience set. And as you layer on the experience set grows, the more comfortable you become. And I think in the long term, the happier you get. So I guess, yes, I have the benefit of having a clinic that I could refer to, but that clinic wasn't someone else doing the treatment. It was still me doing the treatment, but with experience on hand. So,
Yeah.
And that's what's inspired me to teach now, because I just think endodontics generally in undergraduate programs in the UK is taught poorly. My idea isn't to make an endodontist better. I'm not that sort of an endodontist. My purpose isn't to teach endodontists how to do root canal treatments, because endodontists, generally speaking, will have to do the majority of endo very well. My aim is to make the general practitioner more comfortable with doing simple endodontics, so that they don't fear it. Because you always hear, I don't know if you get this, I'm telling you, but general practitioners saying, I hate endodontics, I don't want to do endo. It's the worst thing in the world. Why would you even want to do it? I just don't like that story. I think if we can change that story, because if you do the simple endo well, then you're going to find it rewarding. And then you might actually then do the simple ones as well and refer the difficult ones on, or want to learn more about it. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I would say that endodontics is a very special field of dentistry, because not everyone that does endodontics love doing endodontics. So and even in the courses, maybe when you do like a implant course or an aesthetic course, it's like you like to do aesthetics and you want to do more and you want to enjoy more and to do better cases. But a lot of times I see in my experience in the courses, my colleagues, sometimes they hate endodontics. They do a course because they are trying to suffer less during the treatments. And I think it's one of the few areas that I would say like half of the people that are inside one course hated this area and wanted to suffer less, and the other half enjoys and want to go further in the career. So I totally understand what you say, and I feel the same. For me, it's a joy to try to release a little bit this kind of horrible feeling that people have, because they are afraid. The diagnostic, it starts with the diagnostic. They don't know really well. The person is in pain and they need to have an answer, and they need to do something, because I think that the patients don't accept when dentists don't do anything. So patients are like, no, I'm waiting for this appointment, so please drill me the tooth that is wrong now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait and see more things. Please solve the problem now. So we feel a lot of pressure on acting, and sometimes when we don't have the full information and we don't have the diagnostic solved, that's when the mistakes are starting. And then with access cavity, people are not are in doubt if they perforated or not, if it's a canal or if it's a perforation, and the suffering starts from there. And sometimes they extract the tooth just to solve the dentist problem and not the patient problem. So for me also, it's a big joy to try to stimulate to my colleagues to see what are the fun things about endodontics and how can they improve their quality of life during the treatment. And simple things are the best. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, keep it simple. Get the simple things right. I think it all starts with, in clinic, right? Diagnosis and planning, right? Plan the process and know what you're going to do beforehand. Then you don't treat in a muddle. Like, you don't treat thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I try this file? Should I try that file? Have a process, understand the process, and understand why you're doing what you're doing. And suddenly it can start to become a little bit easier. But yeah, you're right. I think quite a few people learn endo out of fear rather than enjoyment. And I think endo is difficult. Don't you agree, Antonio? With cosmetic courses, it's easy to do, even get people to go on cosmetic courses, because you just have a beautiful before and after picture. Whereas with endo, when we pull out beautiful root canal treatments out, we'll have black and white pictures. We're like, look, this and this and this. Like, I want to see a composite build-up. I don't want to see those white lines.
and I think there's another thing that maybe you find it has both sides. It can be very attractive, but also it's heavy to bear. That is the difficulties. Like there are some teeth that I cannot do the treatment that I want to do, and I cannot. It's impossible for me at this moment with these files with my hands. I cannot do that. And maybe in a cosmetic case, okay, you could do better, but it's not that you will leave the tooth in half. Like I cannot do more cosmetic treatment, I cannot improve this. And I think it's important to deal with this frustration that, okay, I did a little bit what you were saying about the mindset. Like, okay, invest more in thinking about the process and not the end result. Like, okay, I used the tools, I took my time, I did my best, so it was a good case. Okay, the X-ray is not perfect. Maybe I could not reach the working length in that difficult canal. But one thing I learned in my post-graduation was like even the teachers sometimes could not get patency in all the canals. It was a revelation because we work very alone, because even if you work in group, you're still just one person treating one tooth. And sometimes I thought like, okay, if I was something, my teacher, he would get the patency in this canal, and I'm a lousy dentist, I cannot reach the working length. And also I think it's important, and I would like you to comment a little bit this growth mindset, thinking about a little bit more the process and not the end result, because we dentists are judged by the end result and not the process. How do you achieve to have this mindset? What do you recommend to a young dentist that is focused on the end result and is suffering and struggling with the difficulties of our profession? What would be your tips and tricks for a happy life in dentistry?
I just sometimes think also look at the bigger picture. Like, I know some people say that you should go all in. You should do. Like, you should go all in. But remember, endodontics is only a part of my life. I value it a lot. I cherish it a lot. It is my passion. But again, I don't agree with the statement, endo is my life. Endo is a part of my life that provides me a lot of joy and happiness. But it's only one part. So just remember that. It's only a part of your life. Don't make it your be-all and end-all. There's other important things in life as well. And the second thing, progression over perfection. Like, if I look back at some of the root canal treatments that I did, 1 year qualified, 2 years qualified, I would one day close my eyes and hide and be like, oh my God, did I really do that? And I'm only as good as I am, as we mentioned earlier, after 17 years of experience. From when I first qualified, we get better every day. So progression over perfection. Now I've got a constant reminder, which I tell my kids as well. On my album, it says, I can't really show it on the screen. It says 1%. 1%. So the secret is not to be 100% better. The secret is just be 1% better than you were yesterday. Even if you're having a bad day, the secret isn't to turn a bad day into an amazing day. The secret is a bad day just has to be 1% better than the last bad day. And over time, the 1% gains all add up in any aspect of life. Any aspect of life. Like, not just endodontics, you just have to be 1% better. I know you enjoy running. You only have to be 1% better than your last run. And if you're having a bad run and you're not enjoying the run, well, you only have to be 1% better than your last really, really bad run. Because I just think perfection is not achievable. There's no such thing as perfection. And if anyone turns around and says, "Oh, achieve perfection," and I don't believe it. There's always increments.
Yeah, but But now you see more and more on social media, like perfect endodontic cases, perfect lives, perfect pictures, and everyone is alone in their cell phone suffering and thinking that everybody is happy and everybody is competent, and that you are not competent, you are not good enough, your family is not good enough, you're not happy enough, and it's a struggle that we should take, and we should address. You thought you mentioned that I started running way after you, so I remember we met each other like 2 years ago or
Yeah.
something, and I saw that you started to run to do the London Marathon,
Yes.
and yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, and I just started to run like 1 year ago or something, because I lack some kind of exercise that would balance a little bit my mind, and nowadays I enjoy running. I know that also you now you are more into resistance training.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh, Tell me a little bit, how do you balance so you are a businessman, you are a
Yes.
clinician, you
Yes.
are an educator, you
Yes.
are a father,
Yes.
and you do exercise. So
Yeah.
how can you separate? How do you manage this?
I guess the secret always comes down to timing, right? And I don't always get it right. So I'm not going to sit here and preach it and go, I plan my week perfectly and everything goes to plan and it's ideal. No, but having no plan is a problem. So I think every week, or someone once said, if you just plan out what your ideal week would look like just sit there and plan what your ideal week would look like how many hours you want to spend with your kids, how many new challenges do you want to do? What you want to do? Running? Do you want to do resistance training? You want to take football? Do you kick off? There's only a set number of hours a week, and having too many goals, too many things to achieve, can sometimes cause conflict in life as well. So mine is, I plan the week goals. I plan what I want to do every 6 months, and there's never more than 3 to 5 goals, and the goals can be simple things like this year at 10:40, it's spending more time with the family and enjoying quality time. So this first 6 months is not about become better as a clinician, become better as an educator. It's just quality time with the family, improve my physical health. Like we talked about me running the London Marathon. This year I'm doing high rocks, so it's a stroke running activity. So it's always a whole thing, trying to just be a little bit better, have goals in mind and have a plan. Like there's no point
Yeah.
having goals. Like you can have all the goals in the world. Like, but if you don't have a plan on how to achieve those goals, then you're going to struggle. Weekly plans, managing my time is just sitting down on a Sunday with my journal, and it's like on Monday I wrote this, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I wrote this, and then the weekends, generally speaking, are kids' time. So just plan your time and choose what's important to you. Like if you don't enjoy running, don't go running because me and Antonio enjoy running. Doesn't make sense. Like if you hate running, don't do running. Do something you enjoy. If you enjoy rowing, go do rowing. If you enjoy cycling, go do cycling. But if you do things you enjoy, time goes quicker.
Yeah, it's very funny because I'm also turning 40 years old this year. So we were both born in 84.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why also we this talk we are talking for 28 minutes and we even talk about endodontics. Maybe it's like a middle life crisis that I think that we are more comfortable in our job, so now we have more time to think about the rest, and also we feel that we are getting old. So we see the time running. We are comfortable in our job, so we start to think more outside of the microscope and not being like inside
Tunnel vision.
the root canals. Yeah. And tell me, talking a little bit about endodontics, what was your first instrument? Because we are from the same generation, so maybe we used the same materials, or at least we remember, like you remember the K3 and the profile systems, that
Yeah.
old school systems. Tell me a little bit about your instrumentation history or career.
So in the UK, generally speaking, where I qualified in 2007, there was still mainly people just using hand files and doing the step back technique with hand files. It then evolved for most of us to Pro Taper Universal, the silver, more rigid files that were originally there, where we definitely needed straight line access. And I think the fear originally with those files was if you didn't have straight line access, a few of them would break. And that just enhanced the fear of endodontics, because there were files snapping here, there, everywhere. And yeah, I think my first memories of Pro Taper Universal, and then there was the shift towards Pro Taper Gold. And then when you don't question what you're doing and you don't understand the instruments that you're doing, you just follow what the manufacturer says. So it was just like Pro Taper Gold for a little while, then it was like Reciproc, and Wave 1 came into fashion. And then I think with knowledge, again, through the master's degree, you start asking yourself more complex questions like, what shape do I need to create to effectively remove the bacteria that's there, rather than, just finish to an F2 or an F3. And I guess that's when my evolution came about, where no two endos are the same. There never will be. It's always, what does the tooth need that I have to do to effectively eradicate the bacteria that's there.
Yeah, I think that it's true that ProTaper is a system that is widely used in the planet Earth, and one of the problems is, I think, that the general dentists are not aware of tapers in the files, because as it's not fixed tapers, they don't associate the files. They just think about the tips and not about the tapers, and sometimes it's difficult to switch back to the fixed tapers and to understand, okay, what is a 4004 or a 4006 or a 2506, 2504, and sometimes I have some difficulties. I can explain. I have no difficulties in explaining, but I think the general dentists have some difficulties in changing, as you mentioned, the mindset about the files.
Fear
And
of change. There's always a fear of change. And I think now we've got better materials, we've got better equipment, we've got control memory wise, we've got Marks and Cintiq files that are able to bend and flex. We don't need to take away as much tooth as we used to. Previously, in the past, with the technology that we had, yes, maybe you did. But now, I think, and I always don't think endo also finishes with gutter back and the canal. So you've got to also think about the restorability of the tooth afterwards as well. It's not just about doing the endo, it's what impact does my endo have on the restorability of the tooth, and how can I preserve as much dentine, or in particular pericervical dentine, as I possibly can.
Yeah, because we can do endodontic treatments in teeth that are not restorable.
Yeah.
So maybe it's important to start to think about the end result, because no one wants to have a root canal treatment in a tooth that it will not be restorable. And did you started to use? Are you the Coltin CM generation? You started with Coltin with the ADM generation. What was your relationship with Coltin? How did you find these files? How did you started with the Martin Cintiq files?
Honestly, we had I've been using it a while, but when we were doing our final year research projects, dissertations, one of my colleagues, Maddie, he was doing his research project on glide paths. And originally we always taught you must create an effective glide path up to a size 15 file before introducing any rotary file into the canal. And he's like, Dave, but we've got these glide path files now that can bend and flex and are not as rigid as a size 15 file. And I want to do my literature review or my research project, on how these glide path files are able to maintain the anatomy and can then maintain the anatomy better than hand files. And it was through that he was using the EDM 1503 that he started using, and I know it sounds silly, but he just gave me a few, and he was like, try these. And I guess from that point on, the game changed, where I was just like, this just makes sense. Like, I'm preserving the original anatomy of the canal in a better way. And furthermore, these files are so flexible, I don't need to push. Like, I don't know how you find that, Antonio, but whenever general dentists sometimes are a millimeter away from the apex, what do they do with the engine-driven files? They push.
Yeah,
They're a millimeter away, and the natural human tendency is, let me
that's
push.
true.
And what should we do? Push.
Yeah.
And I just think the Martin files with, as Antonio created tactile controlled activation, it just makes sense. It just makes sense to me. So from there, it just came about that I started using high flex EDM for the majority of my cases. And I do use more than one endodontic file system. I think all endodontists will use many file systems because you want to treat the tooth in the best way possible. But I think for general practitioners, you want to reduce their risk of instrument separation. And I think having a more flexible file, as well as teaching of tactile control activation slowly, makes a big difference. So my evolution came there. So I've been using it since 2017 as my predominant file.
Yeah. I think also endodontists like to play with different files. So for me, it's not just this file is excellent for this anatomy. It's like, no, let me try this file. I heard this system. This is a new philosophy. So I like to try new systems and new designs. I'm all about that. But now that I'm getting older, I'm not that enthusiastic. I have to admit that like 10 years ago, I would run to see all the new files, and nowadays I'm not so crazy about testing new files. I start with reciprocation. I was a reciprocation guy, and I found out about one reci, and I started to use one reci and to do courses with that. And one of the things that changed my mind was when I met you, that all of it was a trained trainees in Switzerland, and everybody was like a heavy high flex user, and me and another colleague, Sebastian Ortolani, were more micro mega users. And I was like, okay, so many people using iFlex EDM, so maybe I should give it a try, because I always I had a tendency to like more aggressive files, like Micromega, like To Shape and One Resi and One Curve.
I used to, before this, use Reciproc. Before I was at iFlex, I used to use Reciproc Loop, which is a more aggressive file. But yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. And for me, and it's important. That's why it's important to talk with other people. I was like, no, these guys are amazing. They are from different countries, different background. Everybody likes this, so maybe I should give another try and try to appreciate. And with the Jenny Canal Pro, I think it was perfect for me, because as I enjoyed reciprocating, it was not just the boring rotation movement. And I was like, okay, no, now this is getting more funny, and I started to enjoy more and more. And now I would say that I like to use iFlex EDM in primary cases, and I still prefer, I think, one resi in retreatment cases, not for removal, but sometimes I'm not sure about the
Which
the way. Yeah. And
what's your
I
favorite one
prefer.
recipe file? What's your favorite one recipe file? I'm asking you
Uh,
questions now.
yeah. No problem. To use a British expression, the 2506 is my bread and butter,
Yep.
but I really enjoy the 2004.
Yeah. It
In some cases, yeah,
yeah,
in
I like
some cases,
in my more because sometimes, like we said, we don't use one file system for root canal treatment. Sometimes for posterior molars, I find a high flexing the one file is a variable take of file. So sometimes it's too large for really curved fruits. And if you're only taught the system, you're going to finish on the one file and cause yourself problems. So I really like the 2004 and the 2504 from one recipe, where when you have really long and curved canals,
yeah,
sometimes finishing with a 2004 or 2504 in a reciprocating motion decreases the stress on the file. So effective glide path with EDM, and then the finishing with reduced cyclic fatigue resistance due to the motion of the file with one recipe can sometimes be good.
yeah.
I
But
really
now you see that you have the new OGSF system, or I would say like update, and you see that the Coltin answer to your prayers, because
that's
the
good.
one file is not so thick now. Now it finishes in 3004, but
Yes.
it's a lot more slim in the coronal aspect. So
Yeah.
I think it's a more updated file, and it is more in the current trends, and I enjoy a lot. For me it was I was a little bit in doubt if you could jump from 18 file to a 30, if it was not a jump big enough, but I find very comfortable in use. I don't know what's your thoughts about that.
Yeah. I actually think it'll be a great file system, especially for general practitioners, because I think it just simplifies the approach. It doesn't complicate things. We talked about keeping things as educators simple and predictable. And I think the OGSF sequence does. You've got an orifice opener, you've got the light path creation, the shape, and the finisher. So I think if you follow the sequence in less experienced hands, you'll get a predictable result. In yours and mine's, I guess it's the dream come true, right? I've now got EDM nearly in every single tip and taper, and you could dream
Yeah.
of. So I just have my iFlex EDM and I've got the OGSF sequence. I can pretty much with that do the grind of endodontics now.
Yeah, nowadays with the micro mega universe and the Colten universe, one of the things I enjoy is I feel that I have all the options that exist in the world. Like I have reciprocation, I have a more strong, robust file, I have a more delicate file. You have a 60 in the tip, so you have a lot of options, so you can do whatever you want. I like to finish with a 3504 from one resi. I think it's a good finishing file. But now with the OGSF, with the finisher file, maybe I'll start to go with that, because sometimes I find useful to end up with a 45, for instance, one resi, and other times I prefer in more challenging cases like a 4004 from Coltin ADM. So it's for me it's all about changing and trying to see what kind of files do you have, and what can you mix to have a more simple result, and try to in the most simpler way to get the job done, and go on with your life. I would like to ask if you can share, like, I don't know, like one or two easy tips that somebody that is listening to this podcast can tomorrow use it, and remember, like, it was a great episode. Dij told me one tip, and now I don't know if it solved all the problems of my life. Maybe it's ambitious, but one simple thing, like a hack that somebody could use in their clinical practice.
Or I think I'll give two. Okay, one is always
Yeah,
plan the process. I know it sounds so stupid, but when we're doing our root canal treatment, sometimes general practitioners tell you to look at the X-ray for more than 2 seconds.
yeah,
Whereas if you don't know what the problems are before you start, you're going to start creating more problems. So always look at the X-ray. Always know where your reference point is. Roof of bulb chamber, floor of bulb chamber. Hopefully not for you and me, the vacation, because we don't want to go anywhere near there. But as a general practitioner, yes, and always assess the anatomy of the root canals before. Are they curved? Are they calcified? Where are they curved? Where are they calcified? Is there any expected splits? Because if you know this beforehand, you're not going to be surprised during the process. And as you and me talked about, sometimes the decision might come earlier, where you turn around and say, "Oh, actually, I might not want to do this root canal treatment. It might be better to refer this," or it might be, "Okay, I can see these challenges, so let me tell my patient about it." And then the other one, I think one of the papers that I think every single dentist should read, and it should be recited as a Bible, is Krasner Rankel. I think you should not be allowed to pass your undergraduate program unless you know Krasner Rankel off by heart, because fundamentally it's solving the puzzle. I think the biggest thing is not knowing where the canals are, right? I remember my biggest thing was you drill a hole in the tooth and you're like, first of all, I don't know how many canals there are. Secondly, I don't know where they are. You're just drilling that hole and hoping. Hoping is not good. And I think
yeah,
Krasner Rankel it's available if you just put it in your Google search engines or your Edge search engines. It will come out as a readily available paper. And
yeah.
it's not like reading 55 pages. It's like reading 5-6 pages. I think there's not too much. So read that paper and apply that paper to the majority of your root canal treatments, and I think it will decrease your stress.
Yeah, it's so crazy that this article is from 2004, because
Exactly.
you could already add these conclusions like in the Hess times in the 19th century. Like you didn't need anything from 2004 technology, because they studied with naked eye teeth. So for me, it's strange how it's not like a early 20th century article, and it's a 20-year-old article. It's
Crazy.
very recent. Yeah.
But it's crazy that people don't even know about it. So they just, and I think when it comes to access cavities, I don't think it's a good idea to create access cavities with certain shapes in mind. I think you should let the anatomy of the tooth dictate, and that paper helps to explain some of the principles that you would follow. So you're not drilling by guessing. You're drilling precisely.
Yeah.
Draw where you're meant to draw.
I would add as a tip to use ultrasonic tips, because the control that you have when you are doing the access can make the difference, because sometimes with the handpiece you don't have control, and when you go see the result, you understand that you did uh, uh, you went far away from what you supposed. Yeah, I'm hooked on the ultrasonic tip since the beginning of my career. I used the old ultrasonic, the prophylactic, when I didn't have the right tips. But for me, it was very, very important, because I was not sure, even with the Endo Z. It's like I cannot see what I'm doing, so I'm afraid. Yeah. And with ultrasonic tips, you can have a lot of control, and I'm still using it a lot. For me,
So I completely agree with you. So in our 3-day endo program that we teach general dentists how to use ultrasonic, because that's how we as endodontists get those nice, smooth, shaped access
yeah.
cavities that haven't taken away too much tooth structure, because we're just drilling while we're seeing, not just drilling and then looking.
Yeah, of course, seeing through a microscope is a privilege because you gain superpowers. If you compare with Dhiraj without a microscope, the difference is very big. But also learn how to use it. It's also very difficult. You take. I would say that I took like 6 months before the microscope was before I felt the microscope was helping me. It was like a adversary, an enemy, and it became an ally. Like half a year after I started to use it, it's very, very difficult. Tell me a little bit about your daily routines, just to have some tips. Do you wake up? Are you the type of person, the 5 a.m. club kind of person? How can you do physical exercise and work as a businessman, as an educator, and as a family member? What is like a normal day for you? Could you share with us a little bit your like a normal routine day?
Oh wow! Because then normally it's gonna be um anything between 5 to 5:30 is the wake up time, and it would already be planned the day before that. If I'm waking up and I'm doing work, and what I mean by work is I'm looking at my top three most important things to do. So it'll be the three emails that need to be sent off today and be sent off before I even get to work. So I'm not thinking about it. Or it may be I'm going to go exercise. Most of the time, or until recently, I used to be a morning exercise man. Now more and more is being pushed into the evening, but then I do a little bit of work in the morning. And so we got, and then after that, around the kids wake up around 7 o'clock. Now I may not take the kids to school. I'm blessed. I've got one of the most supportive wives in the world. She's amazing. She helps me be a better man every day. But we wake up. The kids wake up around 7ish, 7:15, and then from 7:15 till they leave the door for school, it's just about getting them ready. And then I only go to work. I'm at surgery between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. My day normally finishes around 6 o'clock unless there's an emergency endo, which doesn't regularly happen. And then I just have time periods blocked out in my diary, which I think is always a good thing to do as well, because I am also a business owner. There's always other things to do. So just can't be patient after patient after patient. There'll be half an hour normally in the morning, maybe half an hour in the afternoon, if I get a chance. They work as good emergency slots as well, in case there is an emergency patient. So I just manage my working day. I think not many people pay a lot of attention as to how they want their day out of work to go. They just say, I work 9 to 6, but actually you can also plan how your work day goes. As endodontists, I think you and me will both agree, we're more fresh in the morning than we are
Yeah.
at 4:30, 5 o'clock. So actually there's no point having reviews or consultations at 9 o'clock in the morning. I may as well have all my reviews and consultations past 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's how I plan my diary. And then in the evenings, it's the tree come home, spend time with the family. Or if I haven't gone gym in the morning, I'll normally be cut down. And then it's about making time. And do you value what you want to do? So sometimes the gym might occur at 9 o'clock or 8:30, 9 o'clock. In bed, normally by 10:30, 11. So yeah, I sleep 6 hours. But if I get 6 quality hours,
Yeah.
that's good enough. That's good enough.
Nowadays, there's a science in the daily routine and the morning routine and the night routine and how many hours you should sleep. And it's difficult to arrange everything, but you should. It's like 1%, like you said. Like try
I
to.
think people overcomplicate it. I think do what your body tells you to do. Like if you're waking up and you don't feel great, then it might not be the morning to run after the gym and beat your body up. It might be the morning where actually you give yourself some mental space so you don't go to work thinking about 10 things. Let me just do 3 quick things that will make my day start better. And then
Yeah.
when you're ready for it in the evening, if you want to go, then you put it cut. So I just turn around and say to everyone, yeah, you're right.
But
There's too many philosophies. There's too many 5 a.m. clubs.
yeah.
There's too many, you only need 4 hours sleep. If you're sleeping, it's cheating, or you need at least 8 hours. I'm just like, do what your body tells you.
Yeah, but sometimes it's difficult. You don't get to get an awareness of your own body is difficult. And I can give you an example. I smoked until like 2 years ago, and I didn't feel that my body didn't like the smoke. But now that I quit smoking, I'm like, my body is in a better quality shape that it was before. But during the time that I was used to smoke, I didn't notice that difference. So maybe if you don't sleep and you wake up tired, maybe you find it's normal because it's morning, and sometimes it's good to have this kind of inspirational guidelines, so to say, just for you to try to change a little bit and to see if you noticed any difference, because we get caught in the daily life, and sometimes we don't understand, and we cannot interpret the signs that our bodies is doing.
Yeah,
I
I
would say.
completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Listen, yeah, it's just I guess it's the growth mindset, right? I always go back to having the growth mindset and knowledge, because, like, if you want to know what a healthy body is, well, follow what people you think are healthy. It's simple. Like, even with us endodontists, they're saying endodontists want to know how to take a separated instrument out. You might want to follow Yoshi Terauchi and see
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to do it. So I guess just apply the same philosophy, like even in health and lifestyle. I completely agree with you, but follow the greats, or see if you want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, you can't look like him unless you do what he does on a daily basis. So, always just have that mindset, like, what are others doing? Where can I learn? Not they're doing better than me. It's okay. So I just saw one of Antonio's posts on root canal treatments. He used this file and did it like this. Don't be like, oh, he's amazing, or no, he should be using hyperlinks. You should be like, okay, but why did he use that? That was actually really good. Maybe I should try.
Yeah.
And like we said, that's where you get a little bit better and better.
Let's do just a quick fire round questions. I will ask you to answer in one word, but of course you can explain a little bit better if you feel the need.
Okay.
Single session or multiple sessions? We know that it's not 100%. Sometimes you can do one or what, but
multiple session if there is a large infection.
okay, but
Yes.
you're the kind of person that, but if it's not in that, the multiple session is your exception or is your rule? What do you think it's more prevalent in your practice or in your?
I would most probably say, because as an endodontist, I don't get the easy root canals by the multiple session, but I do believe if you can dry it, you can fill it. And if it's a small infection, a small infection, dry and fill, asymptomatic, happy to. But if the patient's in pain, then I tend to err on the side of caution. I'm a multiple session guy.
Yeah, and you are hydroxide calcid person, or yeah,
Yeah, side.
the dressing. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm not one of. I don't use for a long time, but yeah, it's you have literature. It's not like I'm not calling you crazy because it's well fundamented in terms of science. And what about obturation? Cold or warm obturation?
Majority warm still, but I am doing more.
Okay.
To make it clear, but I am doing more single cone bioceramic now.
Yeah, I'm a single cone bioceramic for I don't know, like 5 years or something. Not in 100% of cases, but generally speaking. And what about patency? You are one of the kind of endodontists that patency is very, very, very important, or it's not that important. We have a lot of discussions nowadays in social media about apex locators, and if you are hurting the body when you are doing patency, if you should not do. What is your position about it? What is the importance of patency for you?
I am pro patency.
Okay. And what is your preferred way to agitate irrigants, if you have any? You are ultrasonic, laser, uh,
Ultrasonic.
negative pressure, ultrasonic.
Ultrasonics.
Okay. Okay. And what is your apical size and taper? I know that you are going to answer that each canal has its own apical
Uh,
size and taper.
Asking
Yeah.
me my favorite finish. My favorite finish is
Yeah.
normally at 2504. But
Okay.
2504 with enhanced irrigation. And we're talking
Yeah.
about heavy root canals. So obviously if the anatomy allows, I can finish on a larger
Yeah.
method. Heavy 2504 with an enhanced irrigation front.
Yeah. And nowadays, what is the motor that you are using? Do you use the Jenny Canal Pro routinely? Are you rotation? Do you use in the twist modes, or do you prefer like rotation all the way?
Ah, as an endodontist, I do use it in the Jenny mode in challenging cases, but sometimes I like having complete control over what I'm doing. So I do use the Jenny motor, and I've got the new X move as well. But fundamentally, I will use it in challenging cases in the Jenny mode. In simple cases, no. Because I've grown up, and majority being a rotary man, apart from 2-3 years where I was a reciproc glue user, and when I didn't have knowledge, then no, I like the Jelly motor is a brilliant motor. It just makes life a little bit easier. And I just think as endodontists, we have to embrace technology. I think with
Yeah.
endo, unlike other fields, technology is always ever improving. Whether it be our sealers, whether it be our files, whether it be our diagnostic aids such as CBCT, we've got the technology now to make saving teeth more predictable. So my answer isn't always place an implant, take it out, place an implant. No,
Yeah.
we can save.
Yeah, nowadays I'm also enjoying a lot the X Move. I would say that it's my favorite motor because I like to have like custom reciprocation angles for uh, different situations, and I like the ATR mode that is a little bit
Yeah,
poor man's Jenny option. It's not so dynamic, but you have the rotation and reciprocation, and it's the way that I can that I can enjoy rotation, because without a little bit of reciprocation, for me it's too boring and it's not that fun. No, but I like the reciprocation because I can, as you told, we should never do, push a little bit more. So
yeah.
I'm a little bit more sure that I can do some kind of pecking motion in some occasions that I feel that it's a
It's a
improvement.
safer option. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. If you're gonna be checking, I think reciprocating motion is a safer motion. I guess I've just got used to, like we said, there's many ways of doing the same thing. I've become a
yeah,
high flex man using tactile controlled activation thanks to Antonius. Uh, and I just think I can do any, I know it sounds crazy, so long as I can find the canals, I can prepare any canal if
yeah.
I've got.
And also now I'm curious. You told about the tactile control activation from Antonis Caniotis. That I think it's a brilliant way of explaining, because sometimes it's difficult to understand what you are saying in terms of the movements of your hands. Because when we are talking about settings in the motor, it's very easy for me to do the same settings that you are using. When it is a hand technique, sometimes it's difficult. Are you are you the type of people that does a manual glide path before any rotary instruments?
So mine, fundamentally, the idea is always to get a size, at least a size 8, if not a size 10, passively to working length. I just think it's safer. I think if there's a
Yeah,
path there, up to a 10, I think we're fine. I think what we forget sometimes, or what people that don't do indirectly, the jump from a size 10 to a size 15, a size 15 is 1.5 times bigger than a size 10 at its tip. So majority of errors can occur during that jump. So I like using a size 10 passively to working it. And then we've got the EDO in 1503 and the 1005 that I just think if there's a toy there, why not use it? That's going to improve your outcomes. Like, I genuinely think you don't need to now create glide paths to larger than a size 10. Like, that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah.
Others might disagree with me. Others might turn around and say, no, you should always put a size 15. But I just don't think there's a need.
Yeah, and we are generally speaking, like it's not that you never use a 15 or file. We are speaking a little bit what is our tendency, and it has to do a lot with experience. Like if you have experience in one technique, maybe we'll solve a lot of things with this technique that I'm not so experts, and I try to use another technique. For instance, for me, I find that it's more simple for me to try to do a crown down approach, to try to work each third at a time and then try to achieve patency, because I feel that when you must be an excellent clinician to be able to do with just manual files all the glide path. It's like it's 90% of the endodontic treatments, and I try to ease a little bit my work and try to get rid of some interference along the canal, to then just focus on the apical third and try to achieve that patency with the. I prefer the 10K. It's my standard. If you see me using an 8, is because it's very difficult. If you see me using a 6, is because I'm desperate. So if you ever see me,
I think we all develop a way in which we like doing things. Like even similar to yours, if I was struggling to get an 10 down, I wouldn't just jump to an 8. I would use my HiFlex EDM 1005 to reduce the coronal interferences first before jumping to a size lower. So there's many ways in which we could do it. It's just to understand. I think the most important thing is if we understand what we're trying to do, and that's what I always say, let the tooth tell you its story. The tooth will tell you what it needs. It's just having the knowledge to understand what the tooth is telling you. So
I think I learned more in my life chit-chatting with endodontists than reading books. So sometimes these kind of conversations, like I like to use this and that, makes me try to adopt other techniques. And sometimes I incorporate them, and sometimes I reject them. Like, it doesn't work for me. And I feel that it's like I didn't try enough. I think if you try enough, you will be expert in any technique, and any technique will do. But also, I'm not here just to learn. I'm also here to treat patients and to get on with my life. So it's a balance between what I can be in, not trying to have a good performance, and also learning, like trying to achieve my results. It was really good to talk with you, Dhiraj. I think that we got a glimpse of your daily routines. I think I extracted a lot of tips and tricks from you, and it's admirable that you can be a clinician and a businessman and a family man and an educator, because all of these things are very difficult. Even the educational part, you must invest a lot of time doing your presentation, understanding what you are going to say, trying to get the most out of the time you have with the attendees, and try to have for them a good experience. Also, that's true. I don't know about being a businessman, but I imagine that it helped you a lot to organize, to manage, being a little bit like a manager of the business, to be a manager of your personal life, and maybe the health professionals are not very good managing, because we empathize a lot with the patient, and it's like, no, I don't want to see the clock. I just want to help my patient. I will give everything to this patient, and the level of commitment maybe enters in conflict with managing, and maybe that's why managers don't like dentists, and dentists don't like managers. It's like two ways of seeing the problem, and incorporating inside yourself both of these worlds. Maybe it creates a balance in your life. I don't know. Maybe we should do another podcast just about managing dental practices, and how one side of your brain, the management side, has a conflict with the dentist side, and who wins at the end, if it's the manager or the dentist.
Yeah, see, so there's an art to that as well. I'm forever the clinician at heart, but I always have to think about the business as well. So that conflict is always there. But yeah, I'm actually reflecting upon what you said. It's definitely made me a more rounded individual, and has provided me with different types of skills. So
yeah, and maybe you understand, because a good manager, I think, has to be sensitive with the clinical part, and a good clinician also have to be sensitive with the management part, because things has a price, and it's not just the treatment for the treatment, because we all want sustainability in our lives, and the business, and things to get to be healthy in all the parts of the practice. I hope you enjoyed this chit chat with me. For me, it was a great pleasure. I always find very enjoying talking with you. Maybe it's your cool vibe, simple guy, no problem, that give me this satisfaction, and I feel that I share a lot of point of views with you, but I'm not as a good athlete, and
I'm not sure
not
about that. I'll have you doing high rocks next year. Don't worry, Antonio.
yeah.
We'll meet up. We'll do
Yeah.
high rocks together.
Maybe next year we should organize a Colteen run, just with the endodontists and dentists that do endodontics.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always a pleasure to spend some time with you talking. It's also good for me to try to improve my level of English. But for you, it should be a pain in your ears to see me always assassinating your mother tongue, but that's life.
Your English is very good, and I'm very
Yeah.
grateful, and I'm very thankful for you having me today. Like you said, the best conversations are conversations where you can learn, and I can learn from you all the time. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me today.
Thank you also. And I would like to thank Colteen for supporting this podcast, and to get along with this crazy idea that I had to interview several dentists and several endodontists. And it's been a pleasure for me. And as you said, I'm always learning a little bit, and it's a privilege to have time in exclusivity with so many amazing clinicians and amazing people. So thank you very much, Dhiraj. I hope to meet you again soon.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully we can catch up definitely soon.
Yeah, in Portugal or in London. Maybe in Portugal we have a little bit of we can run without rain, but we don't know.
Yeah. In the UK, definitely not. It's always raining. Although today it's sunny.
Yeah.
So I say that
Yeah.
today. So
Yeah. Maybe you seem you are not in London. Thank you very much, Dhiraj, and thank you everyone. And let's see in the next episode who I'm going to make an interview. Thank you very much, Dhiraj.
my pleasure.